Hello. Today we're going to take a look at how Code First works in the Entity Framework. We'll start by creating a simple client app. We'll be using WPF here. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to call this EF Code First. We'll let the designer load up. Actually, I guess I can go ahead. What I'm going to do is just copy some code in, some XAML code here, to overwrite what was there, save us some time. And we simply just have set up a grid, and then there's two text boxes that are going to let us input two values of latitude and longitude, and then we have a button to go ahead and add position. Then we have a list view that's going to bind our data back in, and so as soon as we add a position, we'll see it back here if everything works correctly, if we're able to persist that data to the database and then bring it back. So let's move on. I want to add one more thing, and that's within the C# code. We need a button handler, and we'll just leave it blank for now. Okay, so this should build without a problem. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is, since we're using Code First, we're going to define a class. We're going to use that class, have Entity Framework create a database based on that class. So we'll create a positions class, and we'll do that the normal way. Add a new item, and we'll say class, and we'll call this position. We'll add. And then what we want to do here is make this public, and we'll go ahead and add our properties in. Public int position position ID, and it'll have a getter and a setter, and then we'll do the same thing, but then this will be a double, and this will be latitude, and it'll have a getter and a setter. And then the final one, it will be a double, and it'll be longitude. Okay, so we've created our class, very simple POCO class. Real simple model, but it illustrates what we're doing here. So this is really all we need. Well, we need something else here to get to Entity Framework to get rolling. We've created our class, but we need a DB context. This is our way of connecting with Entity Framework, and it will be what actually hosts the data, and it will be our conduit to access the data. So the first thing I want to show is, if we look in references, we see that Entity Framework is not here. So we're going to have to go add it. We'll go ahead and use NuGet to do that. So let's bring out the package manager here. We could do this via the package manager directly, or from NuGet wizard. I want to see which version it's going to try to install. So let's select online, and we'll just say Entity Framework. Here we go. And so it's going to try to install 6.02. Let's go ahead and take that. It's going to bring the Entity Framework into our application here. And as soon as we're done, we'll take a look and see that we've added it to our project. Go ahead and close. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Entity framework. Okay. So now entity framework has been brought in, so we have access to it. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and create another class, and this will be our context class. Now that we have entity framework available, and this will be our context. So we'll just call it positions context. And we'll add that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add, create this class. So we want to positions context. Wait, I'm sorry, let's see, we need to go ahead and make this public. And then what we need to do is we need to inherit from DB context. And we have, oh, I know, we need entity framework using statement here. Context. I'm not sure why we can't bring this in. Oh, we've got an error here. Let's see. Oh no. There we go. I was just well, let's see. Using system.data.entity. See, it has it there. Oh, looks like we've got a problem. Oh no, there it took it. Oh, am I spelling something wrong? So let's see. Positions context, public class, DB a little b context. There we go. Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. So let's move on. Here we want to say public and then DB set. And we've got position objects, and we'll call that positions. And we'll say get set. Okay. Save that. So this is basically the context that we'll use to access our set of positions. That'll be our query source. So when I run this and attempt to pull or push data into this DB context, Entity Framework will immediately see that the DB context doesn't know where the database is, so it will go and create it. It'll do that either in the local DB or SQL Express. In my case, I have SQL Express, so it'll go ahead and use that. If I didn't, it would put it in the local DB. Of course, you can tell it where you want it to be created, but by default, it'll first go to SQL Express and then fall back to local DB. So let's go ahead and continue here. Now we've got to go ahead and put our code in our, let's see, over here when the button is clicked, and I've got that code to paste in, and let's go ahead and talk about that. So here what we're going to do is let you specify the latitude and longitude in the text boxes that we have. When we showed that earlier in these two text boxes, and so we're going to go ahead and pull that out, and we're going to do a parse, and if the parse fails, we're going to go ahead and use a 0 for both latitude and longitude. Okay, the next thing I do is create a position object and then set latitude and longitude. And then what we'll do is we'll call add. So we're calling add on the DB context, telling it that we want to add the object to the database. Nothing really happens until we actually commit, and that's by calling the save changes on the DB context. Then we're going to go ahead and bind the positions. Let's see, we're going to bind to the item source, the positions collection in the DB set, and so what will happen is we'll save the latitude and longitude into the database, and then we'll immediately retrieve it again. So we'll be doing a round trip to verify that it in fact did save. It will take a little bit of time because first it'll say, do we have a DB? Where is the DB? No, I don't know. Where should we make the database? I guess then it'll say, I guess I have to create a database. Where am I going to put it? Then it decides where. Then it creates it. Then it can connect to it and save the object we passed. And then actually we're going to query it again to bring it back. So there's quite a bit to do, and you'll see there's a slight hiccup the first time because it hasn't created the database. So it has a lot of work to do, but then subsequent connections are much faster because the database is created and it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and run. Oh, and what I wanted to do first, actually what I'm going to do first, we'll stop this, is I want to go to SQL, and I've already connected to SQL Express, and I want to show you that there is no database yet. There should be a positions database in here, and you'll see that it gets created when we run. So let's go back and let's run, and let's go ahead and add position. And it's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to take a few seconds here, but you should see that it'll come back and populate our list object. So you can see it did come back. We'll go ahead and put another one in, say 99 here. There, so we've got two of them in. Let's go ahead and go to the database and take a look at that. So we'll need to do a refresh. Okay, now it's back. And we can see we've got our tables in here. We have a table for migrations. As we change, using code first, as you change your database schema, you have to keep track of your migrations because you want to make sure that things work out correctly when you next run your code. And this table will track that. And so here's our positions. We'll do a select. And you see we've got our records in there. So I think you get a feel for how code first works. You drive your database creation from your classes, and there are lots of ways to communicate information to Entity Framework in terms of data annotations to help it understand how to best create the data schema to support your classes. So that's about it for today. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.